The journey of Horizon has been nothing short of a roller coaster. If you're anything like me, I bet you've also been eagerly following every development about this ambitious project that Kevin Costner has poured so much of his heart and soul into. I mean, how could we not? I know that for Costner, Westerns aren't just about cowboys and dusty trails, they're about dreams, hardships, and the kind of grit that shaped the world as we know it. And all he wanted was to have his own take on the genre for one last time with a grand project. Naturally, I can't help but feel invested. Unfortunately, so far the journey hasn't been easy for Costner. But according to recent news, the project just got a new chance as it will finally continue to be screened in theaters, meaning that Costner is one step closer to making his dreams come true. So, let's talk about it. As you might remember, last year Horizon Chapter 1 arrived with so much potential, and yet it stumbled out of the gate. Despite being Costner's passion project, the first chapter of this epic saga didn't exactly light up the box office. With a $100 million budget, including $38 million from Costner's own pocket, it only managed to scrape together $38 million globally. Can you imagine for a second how rough it is to face this reality, especially for a seasoned filmmaker such as Costner? Clearly something went wrong here. I'm not sure if the audience failed to understand Costner's brilliance or Costner's brilliance wasn't shining that bright in this specific process. But somehow things got lost in translation, ending up in a massive flop. The critics weren't kind either, slapping the movie with a lukewarm 51% on Rotten Tomatoes. Still, there's something about underdog stories that keep me coming back. Like, Horizon was not my favorite movie by any means, but I liked it. I genuinely liked it. And apparently, I wasn't alone. When the movie hit streaming platforms like Netflix and Max, it found a new lease on life, with a solid 70% viewer rating. I've seen so many comments online from folks who discovered it later and really connected with it. But let me know what you thought of the movie. Did you like Horizon Chapter 1? Or are you still trying to figure out what the hell Costner was thinking? Despite the initial flop though, Costner never gave up on his vision, which is something I truly appreciate. Even though it felt like he was the only person in the world who believed in his vision, he still stood by it. And that determination finally paid off since now, Chapter 2 is officially on its way. I can't tell you how excited I was when I heard the US premiere would happen at the Santa Barbara International Film Festival very soon. It's set for February 7th, and if you're like me, you'll probably want to know every detail. The festival will feature a double feature. Chapter 1 at 2 p.m., followed by the premiere of Chapter 2 at 6 p.m., in case you guys want to attend the screening. And here's the best part. Costner himself will be there for a Q&A session after the screenings, so you will get a chance to interact with him. And perhaps he can explain his vision for the movie once and for all, convincing us to tune in for the upcoming third and fourth chapters as well. Of course, as I mentioned, Costner did not come to this point easily. I mean, when Warner Brothers decided to pull the sequel from its release slate, I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. I mean, how often do we see a company completely dropping off a movie out of fear that it might bankrupt the entire company? It is savage, to say the least. Even though Chapter 2 had already premiered in Europe at the Venice Film Festival last year, for the American audience, there wasn't a light at the end of the tunnel for the longest time, and the uncertainty was nerve-wracking. Then, the other day, months later than the initially planned release date, Isabelle Fuhrman, who plays Diamond Kittredge on the movie, shared that the sequel is coming pretty soon, but even she didn't have specifics. "I think they're kind of massaging what's going on with it," she said. Still, these words gave me hope. Combined with the fact that Chapter 1 also found new life on streaming, it was clear that there was still a chance for Horizon to flourish after all these. It's proof that sometimes, a story just needs time to find its audience, or, well, to find people like me. One thing I've been wondering is how Chapter 2 will differ from its predecessor. From what I've read, Costner's approach this time feels even more personal. In his book The Great Horizon Photographing Kevin Costner's American Saga, the legendary actor reflects on the challenges of bringing this story to life as he says, "Tracking those dreams toward the West resulted in the nightmares of the peoples who had lived and thrived there for centuries. This was a story I needed to tell. I don't know about you guys, but I can't help but admire how deeply he's connected to this project, even though it's come at a high cost, not just financially, but professionally. As all of you know, Costner's commitment to Horizon led to his departure from Yellowstone, and it is still a debated decision to this day. After all, not only Horizon eventually flopped, but it took down Yellowstone with itself as well. And I know some of you guys are still bitter about it, resenting Costner for his questionable life choices. Anyway, as for the future of this saga, we know that Costner has plans for 2 more installments after Chapter 2. I have to admit, I'm nervous about whether they'll see the light of day. If this second chapter doesn't perform well, it could jeopardize everything. In fact, I'm pretty certain it will jeopardize everything. But maybe that's part of the thrill, watching someone bet everything on their dream and seeing how it all unfolds. And I think we all want to root for someone who's willing to take that kind of risk, don't we? By the way, it seems like we are also getting a behind-the-scenes documentary titled Beyond the Horizon. And weirdly, it is the project that I'm most excited about. It's set to premiere at the festival on February 13th, alongside the movie, and I'm definitely curious about what it will reveal. Directed by Mark Gillard, the documentary promises to give an inside look at the making of this massive project. Costner will even be doing another Q&A after the screening. If you're like me, you probably love hearing about the creative process and the challenges that come with bringing a story like this to life. Plus, it will allow us to take a look into Costner's vision for the show once again and understand his ambitions over it. For more updates on Horizon and other Kevin Costner projects, make sure to like and follow. To see how Costner reacted to Yellowstone's controversial finale, watch the video on the screen.